Welcome to the deep dive. We take your topic, your information, and basically cut through the noise to give you the core insights fast.
Yep, your shortcut to getting up to speed.
And today, we're tackling something absolutely vital in business: how technology is changing operations management. You sent over some great material.
Yeah, really interesting stuff. Our mission is to pull out how tech is making businesses, well, better, more efficient, more effective.
To really get it, think about those examples in the source, right? Imagine Yakult trying to do their thing without any tech for fermentation or bottling.
Or Commonwealth Bank managing millions of accounts with paper ledgers. It's just unimaginable now. Really shows how indispensable tech is.
Totally puts it in perspective. So the info you shared flags 6 key technologies that are really pushing things forward.
That's right. We've got automated production lines, robotics, then CAD computer-aided design.
And CAM, computer-aided manufacturing, plus AI, artificial intelligence, and online services.
So quite a bit to cover.
Definitely. Let's dive in. First up, automated production lines. What are we actually talking about here?
Okay, so picture this. Machinery and equipment all lined up in sequence.
Like an assembly line.
Exactly, often using a conveyor belt. Components get added or processes happen automatically as the product moves along. It's all controlled by computers.
Meaning less direct human work on the line itself.
Right, people shift more towards monitoring the system, making sure it runs smoothly, maintenance, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. So what are the big wins for a business that goes this route? According to the material, anyway.
Well, the advantages are pretty clear. First off, speed. Production rates go way up, meaning higher output, more productivity.
More stuff, faster. Makes sense.
And naturally, if you need fewer people doing the direct assembly, your labor costs can drop. Plus, robots on these lines, they offer precision, accuracy, speed, often beyond what humans can consistently do.
Yeah, you see those videos of car plants. It's incredible.
It really is. And another point the source makes is they can work for ages in conditions that aren't great for people.
Like repetitive tasks. Or dangerous ones.
Precisely. Repetitive, difficult, even dangerous. Robots don't need breaks, don't complain about the conditions. Plus, automation usually means less waste and much better standardization. Every product is more alike.
Okay, those are strong positives, but it can't be that simple. What are the downsides, the challenges?
Oh, definitely challenges. The biggest one is often the upfront cost. Investing in all that robotics and automation. It's huge. Maybe too much for smaller companies.
Right, the initial investment. What else?
Then there's ongoing maintenance, replacing parts. That adds up. And training you need to train your staff to operate and look after these systems. That costs time and money.
And the job question always comes up, doesn't it?
It does. Fewer manual assembly jobs is a real potential consequence. And finally, there's the risk of breakdowns. If a key machine goes down, the whole line might stop.
So it's a big strategic move, high potential reward, but significant risk and cost. The car industry example in the source is perfect.
Exactly. They use tons of automation and robots, but humans are still key for supervision, monitoring, and crucially, the analytical stuff. Problem solving, improving the process.
It's not about replacing people entirely, but changing the rules.
That's a good way to put it. Which kind of leads us neatly into robotics itself. How's that defined in the material?
It's described as combining science, engineering, and tech to make programmable machines robots, capable of doing various tasks used in engineering, research, and obviously those automated lines we just talked about.
And the key advantage highlighted again, especially for operations.
Yeah, it hammers home that point about robots working tirelessly in those tough conditions, repetitive, difficult, dangerous, without needing wages or complaining. Relentless efficiency.
Okay, now let's just back a step to the design phase. Computer-aided design, or CAD. What is that fundamentally? Right, CAD. It's software that lets you create detailed 2D or, more often now, 3D diagrams and models based on data you input.
So you can actually see the product before making it.
Exactly. Designers, clients, end users. They can all visualize it from different angles. The source mentions architects, car manufacturers, even fashion designers using it.
That's pretty broad. Is it just about visuals, though? The source mentions other uses.
Oh yeah, much more. CAD can calculate things like exactly how much material you'll need or how long a task might take. Super helpful for estimating costs accurately.
And you can tweak the design easily if needed.
Totally. Change parameters to see how it affects the design or the cost. Makes customization much easier too. Compared to old school drafting by hand, it's way faster, more accurate, and cheaper in the long run.
So streamlining things right from the start. What specific advantages does the source pull out?
It says designs get done much faster, No need for laborious redrawing. You can create these 2D or 3D digital versions, tweak them, explore materials and costs before you even think about a physical prototype.
And the multiple viewing angles he mentioned.
Yeah, that's a big one for really understanding the design.
Okay, sounds powerful. But, like the others, there must be drawbacks. What does the info say about CAD disadvantages?
Yep, familiar themes here. Software crashes are a risk you could lose work, face delays.
Ugh, yeah, data loss.
The software itself can be expensive too, a big investment. Then there's training staff to use it properly. Takes time, costs money.
And the job displacement point again.
Yes, the source mentions that too, as demand for traditional manual drafters goes down.
Okay, so that pattern continues. Now, how do we get from that digital CAD design to an actual physical thing? That's CM, right? Computer-aided manufacturing.
Exactly. CAM is about using software and computer-controlled machines to actually run the manufacturing process. The focus is speed, precision, cutting down waste, boosting production, and improving quality.
And it works directly with CAD.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're tightly linked. CAM basically takes the design data from CAD and translates it into instructions for the manufacturing machines.
So the CAD file tells the CAM system what to tell the machines to do.
Pretty much, yeah. It means less manual labor on the factory floor, but you often need highly skilled and maybe expensive CAM operators and engineers to manage it all.
Right. So what are the main upsides of using CAM, according to the source?
Well, similar to automation, you get faster production, often at a lower cost per item. Consistency and accuracy are huge benefits. Every piece is made to the same precise digital specs.
Less human error, more uniformity.
Definitely. And efficiency goes up because it's computer-directed. Machines don't need breaks, they just run.
Makes sense. But let's talk limitations. What are the downsides of CAM?
Again, software crashes are a worry. Halting production is costly. Also, CAM machinery can be quite specialized.
Meaning it's not very flexible.
Often, yes. It might be great for one specific task, but hard to adapt for something else. And, no surprise, the upfront cost for the systems and machinery is high, plus training costs and time.
And potential job losses in traditional roles.
That too. It's a recurring theme with these big tech shifts.
It really highlights the need for careful planning and investment. Okay, let's move to something that feels like it's everywhere now. Artificial intelligence, AI. How's that defined in our material?
The source defines AI as basically computers or robots doing tasks that usually need human intelligence and judgment. Think problem-solving, decision-making, learning.
And the examples given are things we use all the time.
Totally. Like Google search understanding what you mean, not just keywords.
Right.
Or Netflix recommending shows based on what you watched.
Siri or Alexa understanding speech.
Yep. And self-driving cars are a big, obvious example of complex AI.
So how does this apply specifically to operations management? What examples did the source give?
Interesting ones, actually. In service businesses, think AI in text editors checking grammar, style, even plagiarism.
Okay.
Airports using facial recognition, that's AI, to speed up processing arrivals. And chatbots in manufacturing and services.
But not just basic chatbots.
No, these are getting smarter. They can answer complex questions, learn from feedback, handle FAQs, take orders, and even use data to help optimize production schedules.
Yeah.
It's getting quite sophisticated.
Wow, that's moving beyond simple automation into actual operational intelligence. Okay, last one. Online services. Big category. What's the focus for operations?
Essentially, it's how businesses use websites and other digital tools. For selling online, obviously, but also communicating with customers, employees, suppliers. Managing operational tasks, too.
Like online bookings, the restaurant example.
Exactly, or appointments. And a crucial point the source makes is data protection.
Right, especially for banks or anyone handling sensitive info online. Security has to be top-notch.
Absolutely critical. Beyond that, websites are great for gathering customer data, providing info like FAQs or policies, and managing supplier relationships. Think online procurement portals.
It's like the digital hub of the business. What about social media and apps?
Yeah, they're key parts of this online ecosystem. Social media gives direct customer feedback, helps spot areas to improve quality, packaging, whatever.
And apps.
Another touch point, understanding customer interest through app usage can feed right back into production planning. And the source also flags online payment systems.
Like PayPal or those buy now, pay later ones.
Exactly, like Afterpay. They offer security, sure, but also can encourage bigger purchases by letting people spread the cost.
So, summing up the benefits of these online services for operations.
The sources point to consistent messaging, which is important. Great channels for collecting feedback. Big one, being accessible 24/7 for sales.
Always open online.
Right. And potentially lower costs for labor, customer service, and physical space compared to purely bricks and mortar operations.
Seems like a no-brainer for most businesses today. But are there downsides listed?
Yes, a few. Setting up a good website or app takes time and money initially. Design, registration, launch.
It's not free.
Definitely not. And then there's the risk of outages. If your website or app goes down, you lose sales and it hurts your reputation.
Yeah, that can be really damaging.
And finally, you need skilled people to run and maintain these online platforms, which can mean high salaries or ongoing support costs.
So again, that balancing act. Benefits versus costs and risks. Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the main takeaway here about tech in operations?
I think the core message is undeniable. Technology isn't just helpful anymore, it's fundamental for efficiency, effectiveness, to staying competitive, really,
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah, and we've seen how it touches everything, automating factories with production lines and robots, designing and making things with CAD and CAM, using AI for smarter decisions, and connecting with everyone through online services.
It really spans manufacturing and services, and that recurring theme, the trade-offs, it's always there.
Right. You get speed, lower cost maybe, better quality,
Yeah.
but it comes with big upfront investments needing new skills, potentially impacting jobs. Businesses and society have to weigh that up. Absolutely. So here's something to leave you thinking about. With technology moving so incredibly fast, how do businesses keep adapting their operations, their workforce skills, just to stay in the game, let alone get ahead in the coming years?
And maybe even bigger picture. What are the long-term societal effects of these huge shifts in how work gets done and businesses operate?
Definitely food for thought. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.